Welcome to Chapter 4 of the Wisconsin Journey, Missionaries, Traders, and Indians. A New World. After a long journey across the Atlantic Ocean, Columbus and his crew landed on an island near Florida. When Columbus returned to Spain, he told people there about the wonderful new land of America. Over 200 years later, much of our continent was claimed by three countries: Spain, Great Britain, or England, and France. These countries were all in Europe, far across the Atlantic Ocean. European governments claimed the land, but hardly any British, French, or Spanish people lived there. Who did live here? Millions of American Indian people lived all over America. Who claimed America? Map. French, British, Spanish, Russian, unexplored. Which country claimed the land around the Great Lakes? Which country claimed the land along the East Coast? The French explorers. The French dreamed of a huge empire in North America. They wanted to control as much of the land as they could. Great Britain already had colonies along the Atlantic coast. A colony is a community that is ruled by a larger country far away. French explorers wanted to learn more about the New World. They crossed the Atlantic Ocean on wooden ships with tall white sails. They started colonies in Quebec and Montreal in what is now called Canada. Brule. A young Frenchman named Etienne Brule lived with the Huron Indians and explored the land around Lake Superior. He may have been the first white man to see Wisconsin. He did not leave journals about his trips or the American Indians he met. Other explorers wrote that Brule dressed like an Indian and learned their language very well. Years later, Brule was killed by the Huron. Nicolay. About 15 years later, Jean Nicolay wanted to find a water route that went all the way to China. If such a river could be found, ships could travel to China and sell things made in Europe. On the trip back, sailors could bring beautiful soft silk and spices from China. It would have been a good way to make money. Nicolay and his friends paddled canoes across Lake Michigan. They stopped on the shore of Green Bay. Hoping that the local Ho-Chunk Indians might show him a way to China, he wore a colorful Chinese robe. The Indians had never seen such clothes before. They never felt silk. Nicolay didn't know that a whole continent and a whole ocean were between him and China. Nicolay lived with the Indians and learned their language. They helped him explore Lake Michigan and Green Bay. Finally, tired from months of travel, Nicolay went back to Quebec. Years later, the French built their first trading post at Green Bay, close to where Nicolay had first landed. Caption: Nicolay wore a Chinese robe to greet the Indians. He fired loud gunshots into the air from two guns.